Thank you very much. I will come back to you, if I may, for the geopolitical part of the discussion in a little while. I would like to turn back to Thessaloniki, if I may, and our ministers there, to ask a little bit about the market conditions before we go into the other challenges and how COVID has reshaped them. You all mentioned the natural gas effect and importance as a transition fuel, an important one in the case of Southeastern Europe. How do you, and of course the European Union has set very ambitious targets for energy transition. What would you like to see and what from Brussels in order for the region to catch up to energy transition, but also integration going forward? Minister Hatzidakis, if I may start with you.
Undoubtedly, the pandemic had a negative impact on our economy, on the European economy in general. It is redundant, I think, to discuss that, but not to the extent we initially feared. As the proactive management of the crisis allowed us to weather the storm, I would say, better than many other EU countries. I have to tell you clearly that there were some fears regarding especially PPC, the main electricity company in Greece, but fortunately, up to now at least, there were not important repercussions. On the contrary, I think that this year is more positive than last year, for other reasons, of course, having to do with measures taken by the government, decisions taken by the management of the company, and so on. Anyway, the crisis also gave us the chance, I would say, to stress test the resilience of our country's energy sector under unprecedented conditions, and despite our worries that the lockdown could negatively affect the financial health of the industry, the effect was proven to be manageable across all sectors. Now, going to Brussels, examining the European dimension, I would say that this crisis provided us with the opportunity not only to promote the European Union's cooperation and economic integration, but also secure the necessary funds to jumpstart our economy in 2021. If you go back to, let's say, April, I think that all of you remember the doubts existing regarding the response of the European Union towards the pandemic, the economic repercussions of the pandemic. Finally, due to the initiatives of 9 European leaders at the beginning, including Prime Minister Mitsotakis, but also given the final decision taken by Germany, we had more than positive, I would say, developments regarding the new multi-annual framework of multi-annual budget of the European Union, including, of course, the decisions taken for the so-called Resilience and Recovery Fund. In this respect, I have to say that Greece has taken significant funds, which amount to almost 1/3 of our GDP. And also, I have to underline, because I'm the Minister of Environment and Energy, that around 1/3 or anyway 30% of all grants under the Recovery and Resilience Fund will be dedicated to achieving the country's energy transition and promoting other green policies, which is a more than significant development. And of course, we welcome that, especially in our field, in the energy and environment field.
Minister Nureddini, if I may turn to you for your perspective on the energy, the market conditions given COVID, and how you wish the European Union, but also Washington. We've heard interest from DFC, the International Development Financial Corporation, to fund part of the new project, the interconnector of Greece and North Macedonia. How important do you think such support is for further energy integration in Southeast Europe?
Thank you. As Minister Hatzidakis said, I don't think there's much we can say about the economy and the way it's affected our markets. I think each country has pretty much gone through similar effects. In regards to support from the EU, as I already said earlier, we have finally become an official accession member. Hopefully starting the talks very soon. The support is there. The support has been offered from the EU as well. We know that we're going to be part of the Western Balkan Fund, or COVID-19 support fund. And if I understood you correctly, I'm not sure I understood you correctly because it was a bit quiet. Regarding the interconnector you said earlier, that is being ongoing. That hasn't stopped anyways. We have secured the funding before the crisis started. We have got funding from IFIs, so that project is not related to the COVID-19 at all. We're hoping actually to coming back to that signing hopefully by the end of the year. What has COVID-19 done? Apart from, unfortunately, loss of life, it's given us an opportunity, as said earlier, it's given us a stress test in each institution, a stress test in the public administration, a stress test in all the private companies. What we've learned through this is maybe that this is something hopefully we'll overcome. We'll find a vaccination, we'll change it. At the same time, though, maybe we need to actually realize that this is something we'll overcome, but climate change is not something we can turn back on. Hence, the idea of actually investing in greener, more sustainable energy is imperative. Because the further we move forward, the less we do, we're not going to be able to turn back climate change. That's why the energy sector is really important. And I really appreciate the way and the rationality that the CEO of Hellenic Petroleum mentioned it earlier. We need to be greener. We need to find other ways of generating our energy, being more energy efficient. And this has probably taught us, or should teach us, that we cannot turn back climate change. And energy is one of the key things that is actually causing it, our generation of our energy. That is actually the key takeaway, or one of the key takeaways, sorry, apart from many others, that I think we have to unfortunately have to understand while going through this unfortunate event. But as I said, hopefully we'll have a vaccination, we'll have a solution to COVID-19 in the short term. However, though, we can never forget that we cannot turn back climate change. There won't be a solution once it starts, although it has already started. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if I may pose the same question to Minister Havrilet about COVID-19 and how it has affected the industry in Romania, but also the time horizon for energy investments going forward. Has it become lower, shorter rather?
Yes, the pandemic crisis affected a lot, much more in southeastern countries than in another one. This is understandable because we are discussing about the different level of general economical development. In this moment, due to this situation in the southeast part, in our borders, in our regions, we do need much more capitalization and know-how. The industry was affected. The energy sector was affecting much more than many others because of the continuous decreasing of demand. The another economical negative effects were present due to this situation, like the storages, natural gas storages are uh, are full because of the continuous decreasing of demand. There will be many expensive regulations in order to approve new tariffs because the storage will be extended in the several years, so they will have to pay tariffs for several cycles in natural gas. Uh, Another negative effects are presented by the situation that uh, in this pandemic crisis we registered some very specific effects like selling selling fossil fuels below $0 per barrel. This is the first and significant effects in the energy sector. So energy sector, which is the sector which is pushing up every state economies, was very affected. That's why we do need in this moment capitalization in this area. Even the natural gas is greenest fossil fuel. We cannot anticipate how many years will be able natural gas to assure in its momentan role as a most important agent for transition, most important actor for transition. So we are speaking in the European Green Deals about a period of 2030 to decrease continuous fossil fuel until up to 2050, when any kind of fossil fuel will be not present in the market. So we have to discuss and to assure some support for the investor because they have no in this moment the plan of 30, 40 years in order to recover their investments. And the situation, the nowadays situation, not just for pandemic crisis, but maybe military situation as proved to be in the Crimea issue, are showing that there are much more risks investing in Black Sea side than we are knowing until this moment. I think the governments need to discuss with the investors in order to assure appropriate measures in the legal provision in order to sustain in this moment their investments in order to obtain final investment decision from those companies in order to assure them uh, possibility to recover their investments in order to decrease the risks in this area. But yes, especially for Romania, natural gas is very important due to the situation that Romania is the second largest country in production of natural gas. So for us, it's very important, and also the onshore reservoir are in development in this moment because still there exists in Romania onshore reservoir for natural gas, and using this possibility to switch power generation from coal to power generation natural gas is very important because we can use natural gas and on their ability to transmit to assure the transition. And also, Romania could be a very important gas exporters due to the situation that Brua pipeline was put it into the place. And in the first phase, it's for the security of supply purpose. But in the second phase, when the Black Sea side will be put in place, Romania could use this pipeline in a economical manner in order to obtain profit, in order to assure security of supply, not just in the Romania, but also in the neighboring regions. This is about the natural gas perspectives, but also the new perspectives coming from installing renewables and the new policy, European policy, in order to assure important funds for the renewables, give Romanian possibility to be a very important actor in the power generation from renewables, and also to use innovative solutions in order to produce hydrogen. Even we are speaking about the blue hydrogen coming from the natural gas, or we can speak about the green hydrogen coming from the renewables in the time that they cannot evacuate electricity in the national grids, so they can use this technical possibility, and the European funds are very generous one in order to sustain this kind of investments. In this moment, we are speaking in Romania about two main projects. One of them is to switch power generation on coal. It's important for us because there are social problems in this area of mono industry. Are working thousands and thousands people, and their jobs are very important for them due to the situation that in that area are not developed another industries. At just transition fund accorded also generous amount to sustain another industries in those regions. And the second project, important project, strategic one, it's to phase out the generation on coal due to the nowadays situation that the producers are penalized, and the energy price it's increasing every time, and this is affecting competitiveness of the those industrial companies which are having external markets on their products. We are speaking about the automotive industry, steel industry, aluminum industry, and they have to pay this penalization carbon certificates. I'm confident, and we are confident that in the next 7 years, because we have assured these funds until 2021, from 2021 until 2027, and this period we will succeed in applying those main two projects. But another projects we are speaking of in the possibility to extend the production in a nuclear area. We are speaking in extending production in hydro, big hydro and pumping station, also ensuring possibility to storage electricity in hydro pumping big stations. And also Romania has many important potential to use biomass, having opportunities in this area. And nevertheless, high efficiency technologies we have to put in place in order to assure efficiency technologies that can prevent high prices in the market in order to assure competitiveness in industry. These are for sure the picture of the day in Romania.
Briefly to and quickly for a final round of questions on the geopolitical challenges to Minister Filidou. To ask her, Minister Pompeo, Secretary Pompeo will be coming to Cyprus tomorrow, among other things, to ask, as he said, for Cyprus's perspective on tensions with Turkey on the Aegean. And I'm wondering, what is Cyprus's perspective on the way out of this current situation instead of in the region? Could you hear me well?
Yes, of course. Indeed. Stabilizing the situation and creating some new and much needed balance and stability in the region. We believe that both the US and other bodies, countries, but also bodies such as the EU can play this role of getting the tension to dissolve, and that is certainly necessary. And I think a prerequisite in basically enabling and facilitating new initiatives in the future, and hopefully in the very near future. As I mentioned earlier, as Cyprus, we are very committed to continuing discussions with regards to finding a solution to the Cyprus problem under the right conditions. So a halt or a stop to Turkey's current actions within the Eastern Mediterranean for us would be an important step forward, following which we could start discussing the terms of a new of the recommencement of the dialogue. As I said earlier, it's very crucial that a holistic solution is found to the Cyprus problem in the context of what was discussed and agreed at Crans-Montana, which we believe is a very good and solid base from how we can restart the discussion. I think everyone here agrees that peace and dialogue and collaboration is the way forward, and that's certainly what we are working towards.
Thank you. And if I may turn to Minister Hatzidakis for his take on the same topic. I understand from your earlier point, and we've heard the Greek government say that the stop, immediate cessation of all Turkish activities in the Aegean is a prerequisite to returning to the dialogue. What is your take on the importance and significance, effect of these geopolitical tensions on energy cooperation and integration in the region?
Madam Sokou, a few years ago, being a member of the European Parliament, I had delivered a speech in Turkey, in a city opposite to Mytilene called Altinoluk, advocating, defending Greek-Turkish friendship and the need to coexist peacefully. And there was an audience of hundreds of Turks applauding my speech. I sincerely believe that this audience continues to exist, And there are certain opinion polls indicating that there is a significant percentage of Turks supporting this approach. Unfortunately, this is not the approach of the Turkish leadership, which is an arrogant one, not allowing the two countries to coexist without turbulences and problems. Our policy, our strategy, our approach are absolutely clear. We believe that we are condemned to coexist with all our neighbors and especially with the Turks. There is no alternative. Everything else will be detrimental to anybody, to everybody. And that was the spirit of a recent article of Prime Minister Mitsotakis in three very well-known European newspapers. There is time for both countries to discuss and overcome tension. And going to the energy sector, which has to do with territorial self and exclusive economic zones, I would like to underline that recently Greece reached two different agreements with two other neighbors, Italy, two other neighboring countries, Italy and Egypt. And the question is clear. Why do we come to reach an agreement with two important neighbors like Italy and Egypt, and this is not the case with Turkey? We are the same government. We have the same approach. So it is evident. You have to discover the problem on the other side of the Aegean. They have to understand that this year is 2020 and not the 19th century. We are not living in the 19th century. Their behavior is an anachronistic one. They have to get this message, and I think this is a message they get from many other countries. The US recognized that the islands have territorial self. Israel, Egypt, Italy, France, all the Mediterranean, the EU Mediterranean countries, yesterday in course. I hope that they will get this message. Otherwise, they have to understand that this country, Greece, has its history, its national pride, and its interest, and we have to defend all three: our national pride, our history, and our interest. We still continue to underline that we can't discuss with them as we discussed with the Egyptians and the Italians. This can be the case for Turkey as well. But they have to think once again to stop provocations. And I repeat, as soon as they stop provocations, we are ready to start discussions.
I'm afraid we're running out of time, but I would like to give the opportunity to our guest ministers to, if they want to say something on the same topic of the geopolitical challenges, but very briefly, please, if you may.
Oh, I in this moment I have no presentation for geopolitical. We know just we intend to cooperate, to have a very good cooperation. In order, we are very interested that in our Southeast European side, without conflicts, with cooperation and general benefit. This is our perspective.
Thank you. We, as a country, of course, we believe in a stable region and a cooperation. We believe in a healthy dialogue, as we've shown in the past. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank all the esteemed participants, Mr. Hatzidakis, Assistant Secretary Fanon, Minister Havrilet, Minister Noureddini, Minister Pilidou, for their participation in this panel. And I would like to pass the floor now to our moderator,